Hello, you motorcycle enthusiasts. Today, we have a video for you, especially for those of you who often take apart carburetors and have faced this problem, getting out a very stuck float pin from these two bearing blocks. So, we're talking about the pin on which this float is mounted and can rotate, so to speak. Some of them sit very loosely, and you can just push them out easily. But then there are others, mainly like this one here. Please take a look at this side. You can see they have a kind of head on one end. Sorry, over there you can see it better. They have a head. And these are also the ones that are just a tiny bit thicker on the side with the head, and they sit in here really tight. Of course, at the factory, these are pressed in by machine. And now you have the problem that, first of all, it's hard to reach in here. So, you'd actually have to separate the carburetor bank from each other so you can work here with a punch. And then, unfortunately, it happens very quickly that this bearing bracket here breaks off as well. This is a relatively brittle material right here at this spot. And if this little pin here is really stuck, then it can easily happen that this area just breaks off. And yeah, then the carburetor is basically junk, or at the very least, it becomes a very expensive repair. Yeah, working together with Wimby. Now, if we could please take a look down here, we've developed a special tool for exactly this situation. I've been testing it for a long time for you guys. And with this tool, you can work on exactly this problem and absolutely minimize the risk of anything getting damaged. As you can see, it's available here in two different surface finishes. So, Bombay has made an extra one for you guys here that's been glass bead blasted. So if you want it to look especially nice, you can kind of see that here. You can choose whichever you like. The tools are linked in the video description below. And with each tool, you get two screws included. One is a bit shorter and the other is a bit longer. And of course, you can reorder them if needed. Because the tip will eventually wear out, so you can simply reorder the screw when that happens. And a quick word about that as well. The size in which the screw is turned down at the front here fits most carburetors of large Japanese motorcycles. If you often work on smaller carburetors, like 125cc bikes, scooters, and so on, then I'd recommend the optionally available screw, which is thinner at the tip, to order that as well. For example, if you often work on BMW Bing carburetors, you'll need it. So, now I'll show you how to use it. Oh, sorry, I wanted to mention one more thing, very important. Of course, this tool is manufactured in a workshop in Germany, so it's made in small batches just for you. Now, on to how to use it. You position it like this here, so the pin is basically pushed out through this hole. You can see it there. You just position it here so it fits, and then you can start turning it by hand so it sits in place. Over here, make sure to check that it sits flush on this side as well. That's how it should look. Hold the handle up here, and you'll need an 8mm open-end wrench. Yeah, as always. And then you can do this gently, and while you're at it, please, always make sure that the screw is really sitting on this bolt. So, please pay close attention here and take it nice and slow. I'll do a little more. And now you can feel it. At first there's some resistance, and then it gets easier. So, and it braces itself over here, which minimizes the risk of anything breaking. Of course, there's no guarantee, because sometimes if the pin doesn't have a head, you don't know which side is the tough one. But as I said, you can significantly minimize the risk, and above all, the whole thing goes much faster with a tool like this, especially if you work on carburetors like this more often. Okay, no, it's not possible by hand yet, but you can already feel it's getting easier. So, okay, now I'm unscrewing the screw again. There you go, you can see it, we've pushed it out over here. Can I get it out already? No, I still need to do a little bit more here. I'll just do that real quick. Sometimes it actually goes pretty quickly, really easily. And I'll tell you something about the pin in a moment. Now I was able to unscrew the rest by hand, so it wasn't that hard anymore. Screw out again. You know, I do a lot of carburetors for you guys, and I have to say, this tool really makes the job a lot easier. And now the pin can come out and you can remove the float. Of course, it's still a bit tight at this point here too. I wanted to tell you something about the pin. I'll lay it down here for you. It's probably hard to see in the video right now, but you can measure it with a caliper. It doesn't matter if it's a pin with or without a head. Please measure both sides. Most of the time, one side is just a tiny bit thicker. And I do it this way because I don't want to press it in during assembly. I can't get it on. That's fine. So, on this side, the one with the head is thicker. The easiest way, if you don't have a lathe or don't want to use one, is to just clamp it in a cordless drill on this side, let it spin, and run some sandpaper over it to reduce the diameter a bit. You can do that because the float chamber cover has two ridges inside here, and they limit it anyway. This pin. So that means, when the cover is on, even if the pin sits really loosely, it can't fall out. So nothing can go wrong. That's why you can just make it a little bit thinner at the spot where it's a bit thicker. And then it will be easy to install, and you won't have to force it in. Because if you do, there's just as much risk that you'll break off one of these holders. Now I've placed another float pin here. Maybe you can catch that at the tip back there. If you move your finger away. Yeah, now you can see it. On this side, the tip isn't smooth, but rather, it's, I'll just put it simply, ribbed. Sorry for shaking so much. It's all good. I was just looking for something. No problem. It's hard to hold it steady right now. Yeah, you can see it though. So, if you have a float pin without a head, you should take a look at it with a magnifying glass from this side and from that side. If you see something like that, a surface that's not smooth but ribbed, then that's the side that fits a bit tighter. And the side that fits tighter, that's where this side of the tool needs to go, because that's where the force should be applied. So it's important that you check beforehand if it's a carburetor where the pin looks like this. By the way, this is one from Bing carburetors. For that, the supplied screw with the tip is just a little bit too thick. As I said, for Bing carburetors, or if you often work on small carburetors, please just order the separate screw, which is a bit thinner at the tip, along with it. Alright, friends, that's all from us. Wimby and I are really proud that we were able to create this great tool here. And like I said, made in Germany, from a small craft business just around the corner from Wimby. He makes it, so you're also supporting a craft business in Germany. I think the price is absolutely fair. Just check out the video description, click on the link, and then you can order this tool for yourself. Alright, friends, that's it from us for today. As always, I hope you enjoyed and found our video helpful. Have fun with your project, good luck with your tinkering, and see you in the next video. Bye.